The movie starts with a couple at a clinic who seem afraid to tell their story because of being mistaken as crazy. The story begins with Alain, an insurance broker, getting a call from Marie, his wife. They were supposed to go with their real estate agent, Franck Chaise, and check out a house in suburban France. They are house hunting in a good neighborhood with good people. Marie is angry at Alain for being late for the showing. Alain rushes over while Franck and Marie are already present. Franck informs Marie that the neighborhood is peaceful and the people are good to each other. Alain arrives and they look around the house. The house is beautiful, but it needs some work, like cleaning the dump in the backyard. As Franck takes them around the entire house, he is weirdly excited about showing the older couple the basement. Alain and Marie are reluctant about going down there, but Franck keeps insisting. Franck claims that they will be dazzled by the tunnel in the basement. Marie is hesitant, but Alain convinces her. They go down the tunnel and are amazed. They went down but ended up in the same house, and it was no longer night. It was a bright morning. Franck explains that whenever you go through the mysterious tunnel, you move 12 hours forward in time. Franck says he's not making things up in order to make a sale. The couple is surprised by this. How can a mere tunnel travel forward in time? Marie is amazed and not ready to believe the real estate agent. Alain believes in the time travel thing, but he's skeptical about the turning up above in the house when they go down the tunnel and close the hatch. Franck tells them that there is one more wonderful thing about the tunnel they don't know, and that the house will not stay for sale for long. It will be sold at any time with the right offer. Marie is fascinated with the tunnel, so she convinces Alain to buy the house. They end up buying the house. Alain and Marie celebrate buying their own house. They move in pretty quickly. At 5 a.m., Marie wakes up out of excitement to go through the tunnel again. Alain just tells her to go back to sleep, but she's too pumped up to do that. She decides to go down the hatch on her own. When she comes out, 12 hours have already passed. Marie's morbid obsession with the tunnel leads her to use it regularly. When she is back from one of her trips down the tunnel, she finds that Alain has invited his boss and newfound neighbors, Gérard and his girlfriend Jeanne, to visit their new home. Gérard collects cars and is pleasantly surprised to find a nice car that belonged to the previous owners, just wrecked in Alain's new yard. Jeanne asks about Marie, who has just returned from the trip. Alain lies that she is taking a shower. The four of them are having dinner. The atmosphere of dinner is peaceful and humorous until Jeanne brings up a topic Gérard is sensitive about. Gérard is reluctant to talk about it and keeps making excuses, but he cracks under the pressure Jeanne is putting on him and confesses that he got himself an electronic love tool fitted in Japan. It is telescopic and can be controlled through an app. It has varying sizes, you can steer it, and it even has 3 vibration modes. It also stays standing up for however time you want. Marie doesn't see the purpose in getting your real one removed and having a fake silent flute surgically fit. It baffled her. Since Gérard shared an intimate secret meant for close friends, Alain feels compelled to tell one of his secrets. We see Alain's mind flash back to the time when Franck, the real estate agent, revealed that every time you go through the tunnel, you get 3 days younger and move 12 hours forward in time. Marie realizes that Alain wants to reveal this secret and vehemently shuts down Alain's attempt to tell Gérard and Jeanne. On their way back home, Gérard asks Jeanne if she thinks that Alain was impressed or disgusted by his electronic tool. Jeanne thinks that Gérard cared too much about a lowly employee's opinion. Meanwhile, Marie invites Alain to go through the tunnel with her. Figuring out that he will be late for work the next day, he says no. Marie goes down alone again. Alain goes to sleep alone and wakes up alone. He makes himself breakfast and goes to work. Marie is still not back from the tunnel. At work, Gérard calls Alain to his office to ask him what he thinks about his fake electronic stick, and asks him if his declaration was too absurd. Alain assures him that it is completely all right. He admits that he thought about it, and it makes him wonder what makes a man. Before they can continue the conversation, Gérard gets a call and Alain is dismissed. Alain gets home and Marie is still not there. On Marie's side, we can see that she is getting more and more obsessed with getting younger. She is now 9 days younger. She starts deluding herself with thoughts of youth. Her insecurity about her appearance increases day by day. Marie wakes Alain up. She tells him that he saw him earlier. Alain says that he accidentally let the neighbor's cat inside and that she sat on the hatch of the tunnel as if trying to tell him something. We can see that the cat is foreshadowing something. Marie brushes him off and asks him to touch her dumplings. She claims that they have gotten firmer. Alain debunks that immediately. Dumplings don't age in 9 days. What an idiot. Marie gets angry and storms out. She tells him that he will eat his own words when she is back to being 20. Alain is discussing a work contract with Gérard when they bring up the topic of his electronic love tool. They joke around, and Gérard invites Alain for a guy thing. The guy thing turns out to be a shooting range. Gerard tells him that shooting a gun relaxes him. He comes here all the time. Alain asks, what about shooting does Gerard like? Gerard says that it brings up the hunter instincts in him. Gerard also says that the answer to Alain's question about what makes a man is his ability to handle guns of all sizes. Gerard picks up a rifle and shoots. However, the gun was not tuned, and because of the recoil, Gerard fell over, injuring his silent flute. It no longer works and has to be repaired in Japan because the surgery he did has not been approved by the EU yet. Gerard gives Alain a set of keys and tells him to give them to Jeanne so she can stay over for a few days while he disappears. Alain promises not to talk about Gerard's malfunctioning love tool. When Alain goes over to talk about Gerard's impromptu trip, Jeanne tries to seduce him, but Alain stays loyal to his wife and says no. Alain is back home and sees a note left by Marie. The note says, "See you tomorrow." Alain tiredly leaves a voice message to Marie telling her that he hardly sees her around the house anymore. Alain sees the neighbor's cat and takes her into the house. Like last time, she sits on the hatch. Alain is still clueless. On the other hand, Marie notices a rotten apple and decides to do a little test. She takes it down the hatch with her, and when she returns, the apple is as good as new from the outside. She is excited and goes to tell Alain. She wakes him up again. He is angry at being woken up in such a manner. Marie shows him the apple and narrates the whole incident. She snaps at Alain when he is not unbothered by her discovery. She curses him and he slaps her. She is thinking about being immortal through the hatch. However, her pipe dreams are ruined. When Alain takes a bite of the previously rotten apple, it is filled with ants. Now we are back to the scene from where the movie started, in Dr. Urgent's clinic. After a talk with him, the couple realizes the tunnel only reverses the aging of the skin. Internally, the person remains the same age. Back at home from the clinic, Marie takes a knife and waves it around at Alain. She tries to cut herself to show Alain that she is not filled with ants. Alain manages to stop her. Marie reveals her desire to become younger and be a famous model. Alain is speechless. Meanwhile, Gerard contacts Alain while he is on the operating. Gerard requests him to purchase a birthday gift for Jeanne. Alain buys a plushie for her. Returning from the departmental store, Alain runs into Frank and asks about the tunnel's health impacts. Frank advises it to be used in moderation to avoid serious physical and psychological damage. He also tells him that it was written, the contract of the house in fine print. Alain witnesses Jean cheat on Gerard with an employee at the bookstore. Gerard stays longer in Japan before eventually returning to France after the doctors fail to repair his love tool. Gerard is then shown to have a different girlfriend, Mimi. He eventually marries Mimi. He then cheats on her with a woman from his work. Gerard follows this with several failed relationships with other women, and also several cars. Marie started her descent into madness. She has been smoking more and more, losing track of time. Marie and Alain continue to argue over the tunnel. The neighbor's cat dies. Alain remembers Frank's advice to seal the hatch if he gets tired of it. He attempts to have it closed, but Marie stops him. They continue to fight over it until Marie eventually emerges as a 19-year-old. She makes a portfolio and tries to become a professional model. She struggles in her attempts to become a model. Marie slowly goes crazy after some time. Poor Alain watches helplessly as he watches his wife lose herself. He also picks up a fight with Frank. Meanwhile, Gerard's electronic love tool catches fire while driving. He loses control of the car, causing him to suffer a serious car accident. There is no mention of him after that. After Marie suffers a nervous breakdown, Alain decides that he has had enough of this. He hospitalizes Marie and adopts a dog. He also picks up fishing as a hobby. He is, after all, an old man now. Alain calls some people over and closes the tunnel while Marie is hospitalized. In the hospital, a doctor is instructing Marie about her pills. She hides a glass while the doctor is distracted by the air conditioner. After the doctor leaves, Marie brings out the hidden glass and breaks it. She cuts herself with a piece of broken glass. We can see several ants come out of her wound. With a dazed look in her eyes, Marie looks at the photo of Alain above the bed frame. She says the words, "Do you realize it now, honey?" Surprisingly, Alain, who is out fishing with his dog at a nice lake, replies, as he looks over to his side, "Yes, I realize."